What's up, guys? Welcome to our new podcast where we will be discussing many problems and questions faced throughout the world, but particularly through the lens of the SoCal young adult viewpoint. You might not agree with everything that we say, but either way, we hope that you gain some sort of education or enjoyment from watching this. So today we're going to be talking about what life is like living in bubbles, for us, the OC bubble, of course. The benefits, pros and cons of quarantine, if you've had any. And why are we so divided? You know, right now is a tough time, very polarizing time, and we will be discussing our viewpoints on that. So thanks for joining in, and make sure you tune into our next podcast on Thursday. Yeah. All right. I'm Kobe.
I'm Ignacio.
I'm Creed.
And you're watching Beyond the Table. So, let's talk about what life is like in our little OC bubble.
It's we have an interesting demographic here. Lots of different people. Of course, it's California, so we just kind of always have people from all around the world come to California. But specifically in bubbles, it's like as bubble like defined as just a group of people, a culture, society that all kind of is experiencing the same thing. Doesn't get much more outside, and I mean. OC bubble is kind of huge. It goes down from Southern California, like even San Diego, I'd say, up to like LA area, with a lot of pockets of like other cities that aren't necessarily.
Other little bubbles for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I particularly, I liked growing up in OC. And I know we've talked about this before, like the life that we have been able to enjoy living down here. But I was going to say my viewpoint, leaving OC to go to school in Malibu, because I go to Pepperdine, right? That bubble is definitely, it's almost it's an enhanced bubble of the one that we already live in. So everyone there is either famous or very wealthy. Yeah. And so really the only demographic there are really, really wealthy LA people that are retired and are very wealthy, and Pepperdine students, college students, or, bums asking for money. There's lots of, or actually there's not really any, but that would be the only demographics you would see on a drive through Malibu, or if you are living there right now. But it's definitely interesting that, that's one of the cons, I think, of going to Pepperdine, was making that decision of what bubble to choose next from OC. Because I do love the resources and the things that Pepperdine provides. I wish I could have got a different experience. Yeah. There's LA not too far away, but still... It's not, I'm most of the time immersed in the Malibu culture.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think, like, the characteristics of, like, our bubble is? Because it's kind of, like, hard to put a finger on it. And I'm just trying to think, like, what really makes, like, what is the OC bubble? Like, people that might not be from OC, or people that, like, don't understand, like, it's like, a lot of upper middle class, a lot of people that don't experience much else, but, like, what other characteristics do you think are there?
We're definitely all privileged. Mm-hmm. We all live here. Definitely all privileged for sure. But yeah, even with that said, there's, going to high school, you see all different varieties of bubbles. There's bubbles within bubbles within bubbles,
all these cliques and
exactly.
everything.
Yeah, I know that we were talking about that too, was the bubbles within bubbles, right? Yeah. So we have our Earth bubble of the human race. And we have the bubbles within countries, the United States bubble, the American bubble, the European bubble, the African bubble. Then we get into state bubbles. Oh, I'm from Cali. Oh, where from? You could be from San Diego all the way up to, San Francisco.
Because San Diego and OC is completely different than if you're up in Humboldt or Santa Cruz and stuff like that.
And then it just centers more and more. And I know we were talking about how the bubbles kind of get closer and closer. You get down to the bubble of your high school, your city, Mission Viejo, Lake Forest, Laguna Hills, Laguna Beach, wherever, into, Capo, Mission, Tesoro, all the way to your friend group. You're in that bubble, all the way to your own personal bubble, your own way that you perceive yourself and the things that you intake, the media that you consume, is definitely just a thought worth having, I guess.
And I mean, as you say, like we're privileged. That's so true, and it's also like along with that privilege is such like an unawareness of what we have here. Like we live on the beach, like it's 20-minute drive down from where we take that for granted so much.
Literally, I was watching a TikTok yesterday of this guy was driving. He's driving down the beach, and he's like, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever saw." Has 500,000 likes.
Yeah.
It's literally just a drive down Dana Point, where what's that street called? Right where Harbor House is.
Yeah.
We were going down, and then you can see kind of the coast.
Yeah.
He was driving down that street, and I was like, "Why is this blowing up? Like, what the fuck?" I look at the comments. All the top comments are people from California. Like, what's so special about this?
Yeah.
I see this every day, and then people being like,
I
forget there's the rest of the world that has never seen
Yeah.
it, right?
It's like if you take the drive from North Laguna up to Newport, like that coast is like been photographed in so many pictures. That
It's
like the Shake Shack with the whole Newport Harbor right there. It's like super iconic, and we don't realize that that's a 20-minute drive. Okay, like we're here.
Yeah, it's just our home. We're just so used to it. So
yeah, because I think the majority of people watching this, I'm assuming, are going to be from around here, California. But if you're not from California, if you're out of state, or if you're out of the country, I know there'll at least be a few European friends watching this. Definitely, Orange County is a place to visit. And when we get back to school at Pepperdine, if you go there, like definitely take some trips to LA, take some trips up north to Santa Barbara. It's a good Isla Vista, definitely. Yeah. And Orange County is something you definitely need to check out. And there's lots of different parts, like you were saying, there's all the way to like Anaheim, Long Beach, Huntington, all the way down through.
And it's completely different demographic.
Exactly, it's a totally different vibe than if you get to southern Orange County, like Mission Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita, all the way down to Pendleton. So it's just a huge range that if you're ever in California for whatever reason, to take advantage of and explore.
Yeah, and it's not even saying like we have the best coast, like whatever. Like if you look at the Italian coast, dude. Yeah. That's like a whole nother, like if you go to Greece and you're like looking at
places in Mexico too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's all like there's so many beautiful places in the world, but the people that live in those places that we look at and we're like, wow, like look at like the Greece with like the white architecture everywhere and it's like the beaches look just so perfect. I bet you there's people there that live there and they're like, that's my home.
Yeah, and they're like, damn, no, I want to see palm trees. Exactly. I want to see these little surfer shacks that people post up in and eat burgers
art
in
towns
and
stuff,
Laguna. No, definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's just a whole different perspective.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, if like bubbles can be like, it kind of has a negative connotation, and I agree with that to a sense. Like, I think we should all kind of like try and get out of that bubble, see something different. Because if you stay in the same place your whole life, like that's not like what we're meant to do. Like, you should like see other things, see other perspectives, learn what other people are going through, even if it's not a great area. Go to these other towns, go to these other cities where they're not as privileged and blessed as we are to be in one spot, and go see all these different things. Like, that's one of the most important things to make travel. Just go see the world and understand other perspectives, third world countries, everything like that.
Yeah, I know it's so interesting to think about how, and I know this can be, cocky to say, but I truly feel that, if you get outside of Southern California, LA, Orange County, like that's the place to be, man. Like that's the place where I think a lot of people, at least maybe not want to live, but want to visit. They want to be a part of this LA culture, this OC culture, this Valley culture, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so, when I'm driving up the 405 up to LA to go to school or for whatever reason, I just think like damn, man, just everyone wants to be here. They want to see the Hollywood sign I drive by every fucking day. They want to see the skyline of downtown LA. It's not that special when you're driving by it, but it's just so interesting to like, I guess, keep that in perspective.
And like that's even like a good example of that is like we were talking about the other day, is when I would travel in South America. These countries like Chile and stuff are like mock United States cities and countries. Like they're just like they want that, and since they can't get it there, they try to recreate it in their own place. Some places do it better depending on what you like. Like you go to South America, it's like the little stands everywhere selling stuff. You can go walk around. It's like a cool, interesting, artistic vibe. But it's like when you're in California, when you're in Mission Viejo, when you're in Laguna, like the cleanliness of everything, like how perfect everything is. Like there's not a rock out of place. Like you can see, as opposed to when you're in a South American country like Chile, like there's graffiti everywhere. It's still not the safest place to go, even though it just looks exactly like this.
Yeah.
I think bubbles are not even dependent on what the like place that you are looks like, but more like the people that are in it and the people who make up what that place is like. like all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Like, I wish, so I was supposed to spend the year abroad in Buenos Aires, right? We found out yesterday that we're not going for the spring. And I'll probably be applying for the summer program. But, I mean, shit, dude, like, the thought of living in a city like that, in a country like that, for a year, immersed in a homestay. So you're staying with an only Spanish-speaking family. They don't speak English.
Yeah.
It's full immersion. Not only would I learn the language fully, but I would also just get that, they make home-cooked meals. They have family dinners. We go to birthdays of people that live in the house, right? It would have been such a great experience to have. And I think that it's really hard for me, especially, or for everyone at Pepperdine, because I think a large part of why people choose to go to Pepperdine is because, they're top 3, top 2 study abroad universities in the world. Exactly. Because there's just so many people that do it. It's like 88% of sophomores or some percentage like that. But
and like,
it just sucks that we can't go.
Yeah, even talking about how you say like the experience of being able to go to BA and see that and live like full immersion. Like, even like on a smaller scale, my friends from Ohio, Gavin and Paige, they lived in Ohio practically their whole life, and living in Ohio, I would always ask them like, how are the people there? Like, what's it like? And there's just a lot of, like they say, there's a lot of people who have never been out of their town ever. Older people that like they don't know what's out there in any sense. So it's like, for that, like I think like there's like that's just a big bubble as itself, because they think that they're fishing and they're like cookouts and stuff like that. Like, that's all that there is in the world, and they've never seen anything else.
Yeah. So if you're watching on Instagram right now, the rest of the show is going to be up in the link above on YouTube. But thanks for tuning in for the first half of our first segment. And like I said, the rest is on YouTube, and we hope to catch you there. Thanks for watching Beyond the Table. Welcome back, guys. So hopefully you hopped on from the Instagram, or you've been watching this on YouTube. So the rest of the podcasts are going to work like this. We do the first, 5 to 10 minutes on Instagram, and then the rest of the show will be on YouTube. So thanks for joining in, and I hope that you stay for the rest. We're going to get into some stuff about quarantine. And why are we so divided? Because it's a very polarizing time right now. But before we get into that, how you guys been?
Pretty solid. Quarantine has shut a lot down, but besides that, just kind of doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Some like artistic stuff.
Getting more creative.
Definitely trying to
100%
dig into our creative side and
taking pictures.
Yeah.
Going out places where you haven't gone before, hikes and all that.
So I know you're in school. You're taking a few classes.
Online.
Are you taking anything at Saddleback right now?
Not Saddleback, just EMT stuff.
EMT stuff? Yeah. If you want to tell them, like, what your career is trying to be.
I'm taking EMT stuff right now. I'm trying to, I don't know how much, or how many of you are familiar with fire or anything like that. But I'm trying to go into the camps for wildland right after I get my EMT cert, kick the national registry, all that. I do not want to be on an ambulance, so I'm going to do wildland. Hopefully for LA County, keep my fingers crossed on that.
Big firefighter guy.
Firefighter guy over here.
And then hopefully do that for 2 years. You never know, whatever. And then hopefully get on the department for LA.
Should be sick, yeah. Yeah, I've been just doing school online every day, which is, becoming a drag, and so much of a drag, I decided to start a podcast. So, we were talking about the OC bubble. We made some good points. Was there anything else you want to touch up on that before go to our next topic?
I just think that we all have such a wide variety of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And which is super, super sick. But when we talk about this, the OC bubble and stuff, we talk about cliques and whatever, friend groups and stuff like that. Just one thing that comes to my mind that's definitely big that might go unnoticed for sure is just people that, like Ian, hardest working kid I've ever met, at least at our age.
For sure.
Kid grinds. But yeah, just a lot of people in the OC bubble definitely get things handed to them on a silver platter.
Mhm.
And you know, just seeing Ian just working his ass off, you know, paying for everything, and you know, just it's definitely tough, and I know it's very frustrating for people like that.
I would assume, the word frustrating would be great to
especially
define
living in a place like this
Yeah.
where you
Where
see
every-
people.
you're surrounded by it, you know. Yeah,
everyone around you is so privileged.
Yeah.
Or the majority of people around you are privileged. You go to school and you're wearing, thrifted clothes or secondhand clothes, ratty things. You don't feel like maybe you fit in.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong
or
with thrifted
people.
clothes.
Well, of course there's not.
Yeah, or you go and you know when we were in high school, you know, and stuff like that, and you see people, you know, driving Corvettes and
Maseratis.
yeah, Maseratis at 17, 18 years old, you know, and you know, I definitely can assume that.
I mean, that makes me feel shitty.
That's what I'm saying.
So
dude.
someone,
you gotta. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. They're just
more. They have the resources.
Yeah.
And it's not even like the flashy, nice stuff like that. It's like seeing someone that has the same exact thing as you, but did nothing to get it.
That's what
as
I'm
opposed to
saying,
someone that has the same thing, but they have worked their whole life,
or they're raised
8 hours a day,
yeah,
doing
or
the
they were
same shit
raised
to get there.
Or they were raised differently. They may have the resources, but they're raised differently because
There's more discipline.
exactly. And in the world, you don't get shit handed to you on a silver platter. That's just not how the world works.
Unless you're just lucky.
Exactly. So
like the right connections, perfect connection. That's so
yeah,
rare.
yeah. So you know, it's just it's very frustrating. You know,
I could
can
definitely
definitely assume, you know, when they see stuff like that and they're like, wow, okay,
Like
you know.
for show. Like
Yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
I mean, there's nothing they can do. They just bite their tongue and you know just
Do their best to get.
yeah. That's all you can do. So
And I think that, that really is something a lot of people can relate to. Even someone that, people that are more privileged see people that are more, because, privileged is really a relative term. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for us, I would say I'm privileged, but I know that there are people around us that are more privileged.
Well, of course, we're all privileged. We all live in OC.
That's a privilege in itself.
It's a privilege in itself
Living in
to live here, to live in California in general,
live in the United
To
States.
be alive.
Everyone wants to live
be
in California.
to
you
be
know?
birthed.
Yeah.
To be normal. To be like healthy.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
It's all privilege in itself. But
It's
then
all
it gets more and
blessings, you know,
deeper and
so-
deeper and deeper, and some people get all the way down to the point where they have everything and never did anything for it.
Yep. And it comes down to enabling as well. You know, when you get stuff handed to you like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like
Your work ethic is.
Yeah, I know people who get things handed to them on the daily.
Mhm.
You know, like Maserati stuff like that. Haven't worked a day in their life. You know,
and probably
they're-
won't for a long
exactly.
time.
They're 20 years old now. Have
Inherit-
no work experience, nothing like that. You know, so
Inherit
it's
parents'
just
money.
exactly. It's just very.
Yeah, I know that we were talking about
Difficult.
earlier, like, kind of, how people here have the resources to do so many things. They have the resources to hire gardeners, resources to keep their house clean. They have the resources to go on these trips and do all of these things. But, like, I know we were saying that there's just so many people that, they do that, but they're so relieved to come back to Orange County.
Yeah.
They are so comfortable being in Orange County to not do
They don't want to go anywhere.
to not do the shit that they don't have to do because they have the money to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
And I think people are getting really fucking bored during quarantine, trying to figure out, what should I do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good transition to our next topic, which would be like quarantine. Like, quarantine has been tough for all of us.
Yeah.
Everyone watching, everyone in this room, everyone in the whole world right now.
It's affected everyone differently.
Everybody,
for sure. Yeah.
definitely everybody, definitely in a different way.
Mhm.
Some people worse than others, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue that good things have come out of it,
Definitely.
and I would
100%.
argue that terrible things have come out of it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these things. For you guys, what do you think is the best thing that's come out of quarantine these last 9 months?
I think it's like the ability to kind of like just the time. And it's like that's one of the best and the worst things that I think that have happened. Just the amount of time that we have on our hands. Because for some people, they've taken advantage of it to the fullest. Artists are going to places where they haven't been able to go before and take pictures of places that they couldn't take pictures of empty. Of LA, where there's not a car on the road. Of New York, like Times Square, where there's just barren. But like, then there's people who have had all that time sitting in their room and mentally just got them down lower and lower because just stuff eats at you. And
Yeah, it's
you
just
think
too much
now.
time in your own head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think has been a high point? or something you've taken advantage of at this time?
Definitely, if I'm being completely honest with you, I haven't changed a whole lot in the sense
Same.
of, you know,
Your habits.
Exactly. I pretty much did everything I still did, obviously with precautions, but I still did everything pretty much to what I could do in terms of things being closed and stuff like that earlier, you know.
Hanging out with
Closing
people.
times, exactly. Hanging out with people like him.
Like, it's been completely different for, like, I feel like for you guys compared to, like, me.
Yeah.
You, like, your grandparents are old, so you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
You also have, like, a lot of freedom to do what you want, but for the first, like, 2 to 3 months of the whole lockdown, actually, like, right in the middle of March, I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I my life completely changed to the point where I was in my room for three months. Like, I didn't have, like, and my parents were like, no, like, you have to stay healthy and safe and keep us in the house safe. So no, you're not going.
I think that's going to be something that is going to become apparent in the next 10 years or so when we reflect on this time. And COVID is, you know, there's vaccines for COVID, and COVID is no longer a huge, you know, pressing issue in our society. Is, you know, was our reaction correct? Because, you know, there's people like you that didn't get sick, that spent months in your room alone. And there's nothing wrong with that. You stayed safe. But obviously, I'm assuming it sucked. But someone like me, I don't know, maybe Creed, didn't change our lifestyle that much. We still went out, still hung out with people, and still didn't get sick. So are people going to regret these decisions, do you think? Or are people going to say, well, better to be safe than sorry, but you've missed out on months of doing stuff?
I think it all kind of boils down to perspective. Because for me, I don't regret it at all, because that time people would be like, wow, like, that sucks, you didn't go anywhere, you didn't see any friends at all.
But then again, you didn't know either. It's the unknown that
you don't know right now.
People are living in fear
exactly
from
but
it, you know?
but at the same time, with all that time that I had since I wasn't going out, if you're the type of person to take advantage of it, it could be the most positive thing. Like like we talked about before, I got this ceramics wheel and I started doing that. I started finding ways and things that I was interested in and that I was passionate about that I didn't really have the time for it before.
Exactly, that
you school.
That you guys have been able to experience.
Are you guys down for me to put another one of these in right now?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever.
Okay.
Do you want to pass the lighter?
Yeah, if you get the lighter going.
But yeah, you know, just stuff like that you wouldn't have done or taken advantage of if, you know, you didn't have as much alone time and time to be at home, you know.
Exactly.
So that's definitely, and that's a super dope skill to learn as well.
Like, some people, like that would be the worst thing for them, though. Like, they'd sit there, and I'm not saying I took advantage of every second I had in my house. No, there were days where I would be in bed on my phone doing nothing practically all day. And it's like, okay, yeah, that was terrible some of those days, but all just, like, if you're able to look back and say, when I was in my house, I took something out of this. I gained something with the time that I had, and you don't make it time lost, you make it time gained in a certain way, then I think it's a huge positive that could have happened.
It's definitely a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I would say for me, I've always wanted to get into film, right? Like, my dreams have been wanting to be a director, an animator, a story writer, screenplay writer, something like in the film industry. But when we got to high school, you know, I had so many other things that had potential to turn into something, volleyball, music, academics, that I just didn't pursue. Like, I didn't join Capo Media, I didn't join Capo 360 or anything like that, even though everything in my body wanted me to. Like, dude, fuck the shit you're doing, like, do that.
Yeah.
You will be good at it. Learn it. But I turned it down. So I'm so grateful that we've had this time and these resources, because, you know, at school we have our studios with the Adobe Cloud, with Premiere Pro, which is editing software, and with, you know, Illustrator, Photoshop. We get all this stuff free at school. And so they gave it to us at home for free to use. And so I was able to teach myself how to use Premiere, which is how you're watching this now, and learn some simple audio editing skills enough to do this. And I'm just glad I've been able to pursue those interests that I've had. You know, I've added screen arts as a minor to my curriculum at school, right? So it's definitely interesting. But also, like, the films that we've done, you know, half the people in this room have been, or almost every person in this room has been somewhat a part of, you know, the projects we've been doing the last few months. Yeah. And by the way, check out The Crescent. It's on Valdez Films channel. I'll link it down below. Definitely check it out. But just, the creative outbursts. And the other thing we were talking about yesterday was the blossoms that come out of these quarantine times. I know we were talking about Sir Isaac Newton and the theory of was it theory of relativity, the gravity, right?
Yeah.
So that came in this artistic blossom in the 1600s. Pretty sure there's a 1630s, 1620s or 30s, right? You know, just I'm really excited to see these great artistic movements, these great just impressions that people create in this time of reflection. And hopefully, you know, this podcast becomes one of them that people like to enjoy and are appreciative. That 1687. I was off by 30 years, 40 years. Anyway, but I hope people can appreciate, you know, the work that we've been doing, and I hope they enjoy it too, because this is something that has come out of that. And
even like beyond art, like the innovations that we're gonna have
technology
in and science and all this stuff that people have been like sitting in a lab doing this constantly because there's no other.
I mean, the vaccine too.
Yeah, exactly.
The innovations on the vaccine. You know, if word is that it's coming out pretty soon. You know, Pfizer's in their last steps of FDA approval with over 90% effectiveness rate. Mm-hmm. which is great.
Very powerful.
And if you take the politics out of that, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's out as soon as possible and it's able to help cure or at least help what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. Because if we can get a vaccine going and it can spread, you know, across the world, like we have enough to give to everybody, and we can be fast enough to develop a new vaccine as the virus continues to get more harmful, that we get back to normalcy soon enough.
Yeah.
But definitely science and art are big ones.
For sure. And it's even the simple things, you know, mm-hmm. like, especially for me at first it was kind of, you know, the first week or two is definitely, for everybody, I feel like everyone was so scared, you know, everyone was like, what the heck is going on, you know?
I mean, we got sent home from college, pack up your fucking dorm and get the hell out of here.
No one's ever experienced this then, like, in our generation.
Not in our lifetime,
You know, and it's definitely, for me, like I said, for the first 2 weeks, after the first 2 weeks, I kind of was testing the waters a little bit, whatever, and then I just kind of continued my normal life again with precautions and stuff.
Have you ever gotten tested?
Nope.
Same.
Never got tested.
My mom has twice.
Didn't have it?
No.
I really want to take an antibody test because
I'm curious.
If any of you were friends with me at Pepperdine in November, I had a very strange sudden illness where I was fine one day and the next I was 104 fever and couldn't eat, which is surprising. Like, we went to Chipotle, I couldn't even fucking put anything in my mouth.
Knowing you, that's surprising.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I couldn't do shit. I was super sick, and it only lasted 3 or 4 days, but then I was like, it was sickest I've ever. I never get fevers. Like, I don't get sick very often at all. So it was definitely, I think I could have had it. That's all I'm saying. I definitely want to get an antibody test.
You're in an environment where all those people aren't.
Because that time in November, December, before like shit really started hitting the fan in the United States, sure, you have the first reported case in January, but you knew that there was millions and thousands of people that already had it.
Yeah.
But now they're able to identify it. So the question is how many people had it before?
Yeah, right? Well, it's so like curious because like Garrett, a friend that goes to SDSU, he was in a dorm with a person who tested positive for
all of them did.
COVID.
I think 3 of 5 of them did, or 2 half of them did.
Even living in that dorm, Garrett took an antibody test and it was negative. Like, he never had it in his system.
He took 2. He took one right when he thought he had it, didn't have it, and then took an antibody test, never had it.
That just like blew my mind. I was like, so you're breathing the same air, sharing the same stuff in the room with this person,
touching the same stuff, everything like that.
So it's just like confusing, but like it's very interesting, like how it still has affected us, like as a whole society.
We definitely just need to be cautious that there is an illness that can be very fatal to an amount of people.
Yeah.
And whether or not you like to wear a mask, I think it's bullshit if you decline to wear a mask. Yeah. I understand why people don't in the argument not to, but
it's respect.
In terms of pure respect for the safety of others and the comfortability of everyone around you, I mean, around here you should, but I know there's places in like Florida or Texas and the South where like, it's not even that. It's like you're pariah if you wear a mask. Yeah. It's like, why are you wearing a mask? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. So it's definitely interesting to think about those different perspectives, and I don't want to get too political, but how politics has played a role in that.
Yeah.
Has definitely been interesting.
Well, talking about like masks and benefits of the whole quarantine, how do you think, like you say with the whole vaccine, going back to normal life after and getting back to what we used to be like before, but do you think like a benefit of all of this might be that, okay, in the future, even when all this is said and done, like masks still might be a very important, like it's still a very big thing in society. As in now, when you just have a common cold, a flu, when you're sick, it kind of took away the stigma of looking like a year ago. If you went out with a mask, people were like,
what the hell?
This person is like
Sick.
gravely, like, get away from
They're
that.
staying
But that stigma's completely
a
gone.
mile away from you.
The only time I ever saw people wear masks were like little old Asian ladies, like doing walks in the day.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say in regards to that. You know, in some countries wear masks.
Asia, and that's part of
You
the
know,
air
part of their
pollution,
life.
really condensed.
Yeah.
Like, but like,
I think masks are very interesting because I think, you know, it's obviously hard to tell and we'll have to see. But I have a fear that, or not, it's not necessarily a fear, but I have a theory. Even after the virus is starting to get better and the vaccines are out, people are still going to want to wear masks. Yeah. I would say, you know, 1 in 4 people are going to be wearing masks for the next 4 or 5 years.
Or negative?
I think it's really just a preference because it's going to be a point where you have to give it up. It's like it's okay, like it's safe to not wear a mask anymore. But people will just be so afraid that they won't take it off.
The whole thing about a mask, though, is you're protecting the people around you. You're not protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Aside from the mental note not to touch
Either
your face.
way, I think if there's a responsibility to do something to yourself, people aren't like, even though
people don't think like that.
They don't think like, oh, I'm protecting them.
I think I'm protecting.
It's I'm protecting my my social status by wearing this mask. I'm protecting people from judging me by not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And the also physical part is they might feel safer wearing it for themselves when in reality that's not the science of it, right? So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And then I don't want to get too into it, but definitely like, you know, the con side of this time has been the decline in mental health for a lot of people. You know I went through some tough moments throughout this quarantine where I just felt lonely or really bored or
that's
sad.
That's what all the time will do to you.
And you know, my girlfriend Carmen, it's hard for us to, you know, for the first 2-3 months of quarantine, it was tough. We didn't see each other for a while, and if we did, you know, it was in her backyard, 6 feet apart, and it was very hard to get through. And luckily now we've been able to kind of become more comfortable with this lifestyle and are able to figure it out. But it was definitely tough. There's definitely obviously the hardest parts of it that we've experienced. And then I know you guys don't necessarily go, well, you are online school, and I don't know how much schooling you necessarily do online, but for all of us at university, you know, the entire college experience has been diminished and fucked over, and we've lost a year of that we hopefully we can come back next semester, but we've lost at least a year of that we
even
can't
the
get
seniors
back.
of high school.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Well, everyone,
yeah, imagine
like
missing your senior
prom,
and like these dances and these things that you're supposed to experience.
Graduation,
that everyone talks about.
Graduation.
Yeah, what the fuck is
like
that?
The best, those are the best moments of high school. That's what you look forward to the most.
Your whole life for
that's
one
what
time.
keeps you grinding through everything.
Like, 2 days.
Yeah. There's a handful of days, you know, that you look forward to, right? Is prom, graduation,
small things, clash of classes, like at our high school, like all these pep
dodgeball
rallies,
tournaments,
stuff like that. Just the
sports,
the
dude.
Experiences.
Being
anyone in
being
sports,
a senior,
homecoming,
your last year of sports in high school.
Yeah.
Not being able to do, you know, that's.
I feel bad for them.
I can
really
only imagine.
Do. But you know, that's just the way it is because they deal with their stuff, and it sucks. And we deal with ours.
Exactly.
And you can make an argument that you've lost more or someone has lost more than you.
Everyone's definitely lost
the truth is,
different things in different ways.
The truth is everyone has lost a lot.
Yeah.
Some more than others, and some, you know, some people might be really happy they're not in school right now.
But then again, at the same time, that's when I keep saying it's a blessing and a curse because as much as some people may have lost, some people just gain their life. You know,
people make these new
notice things about themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I see on TV commercials for these new masks, like show your smile. Like someone just made a company where it's a little thing that props up and it comes down over you, so we can have that human connection again, where we could see faces, where we could see smiles and emotion. So it's like coming out of these times, like you said, with the whole theory of relativity and stuff like that. People in these times are going to find and have time to themselves to make their own companies. Say you wanted to do something your whole life. okay, maybe like the economy might not be best to do it, but right now is the best time
to
sit
plan
down
for
and
that.
plan.
Just to plan it down. Get some people to hop on board and this, right? Like
have a blueprint of what you want to do.
So when life opens back up, the economy opens back up, people are starting to get back to normal. You should have every fucking detail planned out of how you're going to execute your plan and how you're going to kill what you're going to do. And
take advantage of the time.
That's what, my approach was with this podcast is I was talking to a lot of friends like, you think I should like make it? Like, should I do it myself? Should I get cameras? Should I really, go all in? And my roommate, Marco, one of my really close friends, right? He's from Czech Republic. If you're watching, what's up, Marco? Talk to you later. But he said, like, are you kidding me, dog? Like, you have these resources, you have the content, you have the ideas, the stage, the cameras. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you do this? Do you want to be the guy to tell your kids, oh, when I was in college, I almost made a podcast. It would have been really cool, but yeah, kid, you should do it. And then the kid will be, oh, okay, I mean, you didn't do it. Or do I want to be the dad that says,
watch this.
Look what me and your uncles did in college. Look how sick this is.
Yeah.
And have them be able to see us right now. So, kid, if you're watching, go to bed. Anyway,
Santa's not real.
No, don't worry. He's real.
Yeah,
it's definitely just interesting to think about how, this can be stamped in the internet and people will be able to enjoy it for however long they want. And hopefully, we can share it with our family later on, whether this thing is, there's 10 people watching or it becomes hopefully picks up more traction.
Yeah.
So either way, though, he was just saying like why not do it? People might not like it. Who gives a fuck? Just full send it. Yeah. Like, you're 19. What do you have to lose except time that you have nothing else to do? Mm-hmm. And I said, you're right. And I'm glad that we did that. So I would say, like, out of the creativeness and the resources I've gotten through school, having Zoom calls too, we're able to have a lot of guests with Zoom. Definitely been interesting to have. That I've benefited a lot from quarantine, but obviously I've also lost. There's been bad parts, but as of right now, I would say things are looking better, and hopefully they just keep going up. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, back to just good that came out of it as well as for me at least, I love skating. I love going out with. I
can't wait to get
homies. And
skate. Make sure you guys tune in soon. We're gonna do a skate culture topic, and it's definitely gonna be sick.
It'll be dope. But like the regularities of going to certain like part. Again, this is the simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most simple things. But it's something you're passionate about, something that brings joy in your life, and at least for me and friends that obviously skate. That I skate with, that skate with me, blah, 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 whatever. We'd go to BB, At a certain point, BB was closed, and we're like, fuck. Like, that's our place.
Yeah,
that's our spot, So then we have to, like, obviously there's more parks, but Lags, Laguna Hills was closed. They had it fenced off.
Really?
They had it completely fenced off. BB would just
I know they filled Venice, the skate park, with sand, bro. That's so painful to watch them just dump that shit in there.
Dude, and if anyone's been to Venice, and especially to that skate park, there's always crowds around there.
I love just standing there.
There's that go, dude. There's gnarly guys. There's the guys who break dance, and then after they're done, they mob over to the skate park and skate. I love the Venice shred. Culture. It's so sick. They're in gnarly. It's so dope. But anyways, it definitely benefited me because I've had to then explore other places that I wouldn't have gone to if this
or be more resourceful. Like you're saying I went with you to film that shoot once, the skating shoot down off Cabot down there. So like to any other person, that's just a pile of garbage, right? It's just sticks and fucking rocks and shit.
Yeah.
But you guys have been able to make it resourceful and turn it into a pretty sick skating spot to get some sick footage. So.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have known to go there if, quarantine.
If you were just going to BB every day.
Maybe down the line, down the road, eventually. But not
right now,
soon.
you're just able to explore for sure.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Make sure you stay tuned for our last topic. We're going to be talking about why are we so divided? I think we'll get a good conversation going. But, we'll be right back. Trust me. Welcome back to the show. Just refilling up my water bottle.
Usually.
Checking the water levels out there.
Check.
Check. Is the mic good? Can you hear me? It's good. All right. So, basically how the outline of this show is going to work is we're going to pick 3 topics a week, and eventually we'll get into some stuff where the viewers on Instagram can leave questions that they have that they would want us to discuss. But we'll get about 3 topics an episode. And we're going to try and start out with 2 episodes a week, see how that goes. So I hope you guys are enjoying right now, and if you like it, make sure you subscribe. Check out the Instagram, beyondthetable.podcast.
Hit the like button.
Smash that like button. But it'll definitely be a fun ride, and I'm glad to get it started. So, our next question. Why are we so
divided? ¿Por qué?
I'll just break the ice by saying I think everyone here can agree. Everyone watching, everyone listening can agree that we are more polarized than we have been, at least in any of our lives. People say more polarized than we've been since the Civil War. Some people say we're more polarized than we've been ever. But at least what I can say is in the years I've been alive, the years that most of us have been alive right now, it's the worst it's ever been. And, this is not a political podcast. We're not going to be getting too much into politics. But let's talk more about
social problems.
The social aspect of it, the cancel culture, the things that are coming out of this that are so detrimental to everyone's health, no matter what you believe in, and society as a whole.
I think the number one negative thing that affects everything with people not understanding each other and dividing us into separate groups is just, for me personally, when I'm talking to someone, my main goal is to listen to them and understand where they're coming from, regardless of how much I disagree with them, and really get an understanding for what they're saying completely before I go and I make my own point. You're not thinking about what you want to say to prove them wrong. You're thinking about what they're saying and thinking how what they're saying is making their side just and making their side right. Because everyone's opinions is just as valid as another person. Unless you're saying some next level crazy stuff, everyone's opinions are just as valid as the next person's. Yeah. But people lack the want to genuinely understand the other person before they go and they make their own point.
They're so set in their ways.
Yeah, 2 things on that I think is, we learn a lot if you ever took a debate class or you ever take a speech class. One of the first rules you learn is do not think of your argument as the other person is talking. Because not only are you distracted of what they're saying, but your argument can't be fully developed as they're saying their point. So that's definitely something that I think everyone can use, interrupting is okay, because interrupting can show passion, can show that you really care about something and that you have something you really want to say. That's okay. But if someone's giving a point, you really need to listen to what they say and not think about what you're going to say next until after they finish. And the second thing I want to say is, you're talking about validity amongst beliefs. And I just wanted to bring out there, I don't know if this is a term. Kevin, maybe you could look it up. Validist. That's the term I would use to describe myself, thinking that, and I think a lot of people can identify with this, that they think all opinions are valid, no matter what walk it's in. It could be, validist is not a term, so I am coining that term right here on the show. Patent, copyrighted. We're getting a phone call. Let's decline that.
Big famous guy.
Yeah, he wants to be on the show, I guess. Anyway, a validist. So that's what I would use to describe myself, and just say that I take everything, whether it's religion, politics, beliefs on social problems, whatever it is, that we are all valid and equal in our beliefs, and it's okay to believe whatever you believe. So that's just my take on the validity aspect of it.
I think a lot of people preach that, but it has to be genuine. It has to be everyone gets the fair amount of time and attention as the next person. There's no person that's oh, well, I don't like this, so I'm part of you, so I'm not going to listen to everything that you're saying because I just predisposed don't like what you're saying. It should be, no matter how much you disagree, just give it a chance. Just listen. Then you can understand. It's not about seeking agreement. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to argue. It's great to argue because then you see other people's point of views.
It's to see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It's to understand it,
Yeah.
right? Because I think a lot of the problem that comes from this, which we'll get into more, is you just don't understand what the opposing opinion is. Like, you don't understand why they think that. Like, how do you even think that? I don't even understand the reasoning.
You can't grasp it.
You can't grasp the idea that they believe something so ridiculous, right?
And they can't grasp yours.
And they can't grasp yours. It's a dual way for
That's
sure.
what's so big about it, you know, is that's honestly kind of it right there, is that everyone's set in their ways. Okay, I don't want to say everybody, but so many people are so just close-minded and just their way's the only way.
They're so certain.
And that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Some Mandalorian shit.
Exactly.
This is the way.
Yep.
And you guys watch that shit?
I just watched that last night, actually.
I gotta watch the new
even
season.
kidding. Yeah.
I gotta watch the new. Is
pretty
it
good.
dope?
It's
Slide
pretty
your
good.
Disney Plus over here and let me watch.
No, me and Carmen split that shit. You can hop on for $2 a month.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, I truly think that one of the biggest things that we lack, especially in our generation,
Yeah, Gen Z.
is integrity.
Brother.
100%.
Brother.
100%. 100%. Just that's such a big thing that we lack. It's just
people just they don't learn it.
no.
They don't respect.
That's exactly what it is.
They don't respect the idea of respect.
Exactly.
The idea of accountability, integrity,
owning your shit,
and owning your shit.
Exactly.
And again, I don't necessarily think that that's 100% that person's fault for
no,
thinking that way.
It's how
growing up in the media.
It's how you're raised as well.
It's the generation and the culture that's been surrounded by us that, you know, the majority of us have grown up in, that has lacked the, you know, the parental or overall educational way of understanding those things that just a lot of people don't get. And a lot of people do. You know, there's a lot of people I think that do understand that and have learned that and can recognize when someone lacks it, right?
Yeah.
And I would go out there and say, if you know you believe you have that, be proud of it and share that knowledge with someone that you think could use it.
Definitely.
Like don't think that like a lot of people aren't like this. Like let me just tone that part of me down. Like no, like express that. Let people know that.
Hold yourself to that position that you do have that sense in you, and you know, and like just talking to my dad and how I was raised, and I'm knowing you guys same type of stuff, but just the fact that, you know, when everyone knows the whole term I'm a man of my word, you know, that meant more than anything. If you literally went, dude, you have my word, I got you.
Yeah.
They'd be like, not a doubt in their mind. Now, if someone did that, I'd be like, dude, this guy's
doesn't mean
now someone texts you, all right, we're hanging out at 5 at 4:55.
Yeah.
Yo, actually,
sorry, bro,
I have other plans.
There's a 10% chance of that.
Exactly.
So I think that's funny, with
40.
especially, you know, our culture, our little friend group, is that we say things like trust, or say like we'll be like, yo, this person did this, trust, or yo, this person did this, Bible.
Like
that's something that has gone around here and has really, I think, lost meaning because it's been abused, right? And I think I think back on like movies you watch, right? And I think I don't know why it pops in my head, but I think of like Henry Ford, someone very American, very, you know, entrepreneurial, very manufactured businessman, blue collar worker, hard worker, right? And I think I just can think of him making a deal and just being like, you have my word, shaking hands, and that's it. There's no question amongst anyone that's involved with the deal that seals a deal. But if someone were to do that today with any legal transaction or anything that actually fucking matters, it means absolutely nothing at all.
It's fucked. It's sad.
It's sad that
you can't.
The fact that we have to say trust in our friend group to the point where you can't just genuinely trust your friend because they said it.
I think it's so funny when people say I'll be honest right now, or honestly, this is what I think, or and this really happened. It's well, what the fuck about everything else you've ever said, right?
It makes you question everything.
So everything you said before that you didn't say honest about, what does that mean?
Yeah. And then it's fucked because when you do it once, there goes your rep on all that.
Trust is definitely a tough thing because it takes. I like this saying is trust takes years to earn,
and seconds to lose,
and a second to lose.
Yep. So
it's definitely something that takes work to build, right?
Yeah.
But getting back to what you're saying, I just think that the main thing that we're getting at approaching where we are is accountability. Is people are losing their sense of accountability, and people aren't not only not embracing themselves and the way that they feel they should, or maybe they are, but they don't feel the accountability that comes with that, right? But definitely, and I want to talk about, in my opinion, I think the biggest thing I think that has polarized us is this. It's before maybe when social media really came big. So I would say before 2005, 2008, where Instagram and all this stuff really became, main centers of communication. The differences in political parties and the big differences that people held against each other were moral differences. Like, oh, I don't believe in abortion, or I, 100% support abortion. It was just it was a conflict of what you find to be moral and ethical. And it was totally understandable to disagree on that. Now, you might not understand it, and I know that it was polarized back then, like, oh, he doesn't believe in abortion, well, I do. Like those are moral things that are okay to disagree on, because, we all have different things, different rules that we set up for ourselves to live by. Mm-hmm. And I think especially in the last few years, that problem has shifted to now a difference of what is the truth. It is no longer just an argument of morals, of oh, I believe this, you believe that, we disagree. Now it's becoming a problem of, oh, I believe like this is true. Like, I believe that this event happened.
The only way
is I just believe that this thing happened. And then someone on the other side might say, well, I've never even heard of that. I don't believe you. It's becoming now a doubt of trust in not only the American systems and, the institutions that founded America, distrust in that, but it's building distrust in the media, in the news, on Instagram, on TikTok. You look at all these things, you watch a TikTok and you share with your friends, like, oh, did you know this happened? Someone that didn't see that or has never fucking heard of that, either believes it or they don't.
And that can be fake, too.
And who knows how real it is, right? Yeah. I think it's just now becoming a difference, more than the difference in morals, the differences in what is the truth.
Yeah.
And it's always, like, interests me, like, why do you guys think that, like, before, like, we have all the information we need at our fingertips now? We're the first generation born with everything in our pocket. Yeah. We can literally look anything we want up at any time, but there's more trust issues and more problems with this than there were before. You had to go to a library and look up in an encyclopedia if something was, if this meant something, or if this was real. Like, yeah. And so it's just like interesting. Why now, when we have more resources than we ever had, is trust at an all-time low, and all this stuff just so ruined. Like everyone's word isn't as strong as it used to be. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only explanation I have is just the pollution of fake stuff that goes around. Like, there's fake stuff everywhere, and you never know what to believe anymore. And that's like the only, like, that has slowly over the past 15 years just diminished everyone's trust in humanity, I feel. And everyone just, like, it just a steady decline. And I don't know what we would possibly do to even bring that back and make it less of a division and make things like, okay, we know this is the truth. Like, we don't need 10 different parties telling us 10 different things. Yeah. And now no one knows what's going on. Like, there has to be one truth that we can all understand.
Yeah, and then, certain sides and certain types of people pick the types of mediums that they receive information from. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, it's even worse. It's even more,
because then someone's looking at a different one.
Because now you're looking at opposing sources of information that don't like each other, don't agree with each other, and spout different things. And so there's these two consumers that believe it, and they don't understand each other. Yeah. So I really think that the news, there is going to be a revolution in the news in the next, I would say, 15 to 20 years, where there's just going to be a total revolution. New media sites. It's going to be a new unbiased source of news, because that is the point of having that, right? And I, a guy I really like, a podcaster I really like, calls it journalistic malpractice. I think that is journalistic malpractice. The way that a lot of these media sites, and media doesn't only mean, NBC, CNN, Fox. It means Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
Snapchat,
everything.
Social media.
There's journalistic malpractice and information that Americans need to know, that everybody needs to know. Yeah. And I think that is what is causing this this smear of truth, and that is the root of our polarization.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I agree. I mean, that has to be the one main thing that divides us, because, like you said,
it's something we can all
have two different completely articles talking about the same thing but two different stories, and you never know which one to believe nowadays. And there's no completely unbiased. Like, there is no such thing as completely unbiased. No matter what, there's going to be some influence.
It's just human influence.
But there has to be a place, a platform where it's people that understand that there's bias, but not talking out of opinion or emotional feelings, talking about facts and what actually is going on.
Yeah.
And that would unify a lot of people, I think. Because even like how you said parents and like parenting nowadays, like the media, like I said, we're the first generation to come up with all this media so prevalent in our life that now it's aside from parenting. It's aside from what your parents instill into you with morals and values, because there's kids that are 3 years old on an iPhone instantly. It's, like, I'm busy, I'm cooking dinner, here, take the iPhone, go look at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're looking at, you don't know what they're reading. Like, at that age, it's more games and stuff.
I think kids with iPhones and like smartphones is it's so fucking weird. Like, I got my first smartphone in 8th grade.
Freshman year for me.
Yeah, like I didn't get an iPhone, until sophomore year, right?
Little flip
bitch.
It was fun. I liked it though.
It was totally functional. Cool. It's just funny how now it's like you turn 10 and you get an iPhone 12. It's like, do you even need that? Like, you only have 10 friends. Like, what are you doing?
You're not planning out a Friday night.
You're not.
You don't need a group chat. Like,
you don't even drive yet.
You don't even. You don't do anything, bro.
Before, his parents would okay, are you down? Like, our kids are gonna hang out. Like, they're gonna go do this, and the kids are like, yeah, I want to hang out with this person. The parents talk, they plan it. You go and you do stuff. Yeah. Now it's like these kids have instilled idea of independence at such a young age, which isn't necessarily a negative thing.
Yeah, it could definitely be. That could be a beneficial.
Yeah, it is beneficial, but when it's taken the wrong way, I think it's toxic to people.
It's that what comes down with everything, is accountability, like we've been talking about, but responsibility for these things that you are able to have. So if you're 10 years old and you have an iPhone, then you have the freedom to look up information that you want, to become and create this social media profile to represent yourself. But with that freedom comes responsibility.
Said in Spider-Man.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time.
Batman.
You getting a tat of that on your leg?
I might, dude. I want to get a full color Spider-Man right on my hammy.
Let me do it.
I don't know. Do you have steady hands?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Look a little shaky, bro.
No,
definitely.
I'm a surgeon.
Alright. Anyways.
I don't think people want to watch you stare at your hand for 30 seconds.
That's all I do at night.
That's how you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Damn, lost my train of thought.
We're talking about accountability and responsibility.
Yeah. I was gonna kind of go back to the integrity part of it as well.
Yeah.
And when in the olden days when our parents were growing up, everyone was on the same page.
Yeah.
No one had phones, no one had anything like that. You'd hear a dinner bell ring. And you'd be like, oh, time to come home.
Yeah.
The sun would go down, time to come home. They didn't have phones. They didn't have people calling them saying, you need to come home, you need, this and that. It was just a set social standard.
It's Friday in school. Hey, what are we doing tonight? I'll pick you up at 7.
Exactly.
We're all meeting here.
And that goes
done deal.
No one texts you, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
No one cancels plans. At 7 o'clock, they're in front of your house, in their car. You get out, you get in, you have your plans.
You can't cancel plans.
I like watching movies where it's 60s or 70s and they're not calling each other and it's I'll meet you on the dock at 8 or something. And then it's the guy or the girl just being alone and the dude for whatever reason can't come. Can't come. Yeah. And it's god damn, that would be the worst.
She waits 20 minutes
stood up.
and dips.
And people still do that, which is ridiculous. But back then, it's you have no way of canceling. And that might not even be they're a negative thing. It's just something came up.
I feel like it'd be really sad.
But in going back to that, everyone had the, what'd you say, same social standard, right, Kobe?
Yeah.
Back then, when our parents were growing up, and even probably more so before that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes back to when you're on the same page like that, it's just obviously so different than now. And, it's just, they just had it all not like planned out by any means or anything like that, but they just had it to where
it couldn't be misconstrued.
Yeah,
it couldn't be messed up the way that it was. They just had it so set that they had to take responsibility for the freedom that they had, and they had to
for the words that they said.
For the words that they said, more so than they do now. Because you can tell someone, "Hey, let's go to a movie tonight," and then 5 minutes before you go to pick them up, oh, never mind.
I think there's a culture with kids our age nowadays. When you wake up in the morning, it's a Saturday, you make plans, you're hitting up 3 to 4 different groups of people for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're making multiple plans, and all these people think, okay, this guy is invested in this plan.
I think that's just you.
No, a lot of other people. I know people that, like, I have plans and they cancel. I'm like, oh, like I'm doing something else, or like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've done that before. You talk to multiple people,
we've all done that.
And it's like,
you pick the best
I'm gonna pick my favorite thing,
exactly,
and it's selfish. And I think it's like, okay, obviously, yeah, it's wrong, but if you're dealing with multiple friend groups, it's like, okay, maybe it's more just, but if you're going to hang out with someone, you want to see someone on this day, don't make plans with them and then cancel last minute when, like, they cancel other things to be with you on that day.
Sure.
And it's like, that's why, like, going back, like, before, that wasn't an option. And I think that nowadays that also is just something that divides us in a personal sense with someone, because now every single time that happens, you're losing trust with that person, losing trust to the point where it's like, okay, now they make plans with me. I'm going to tell them, but I'm going to make other plans because I know they're going to bail.
Yeah.
And then it's just like making us feel like we're set, like not how like a real friendship should be, or not how you should really interact with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have a backup plan just
Yeah.
in case one falls through or one's situation or get together is better than another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, getting back to polarization, I think that, you know, we have our opinions. We've talked about the differences between truth, the changes in accountability and responsibility that has come with social media. But I think we can all honestly agree that there is no answer.
No.
Or at least that there is no one answer that can be discussed in any one conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be super interesting how the textbooks take this in the next 15 to 20 years, how they're going to describe this time. Are they going to describe it as a positive time, a bad time? Are they going to talk about COVID in regret, saying, we fucked up, we were fine? Or are they going to say, we did not do enough?
Yeah.
Who knows what the reflection will be in 10 years? They're going to say, like, they're going to talk about just all the stuff that has happened this year. And you know, I think it's going to be super duper interesting seeing how that plays out, and seeing, you know, like I was talking about the media, like seeing how they reflect on the media in 15, 20 years.
Beyond
I think there's going to be some big, I just feel like there's going to be some big social revolution within the news, and that there's going to be new sources of media or a total remodeling of the structure in the companies that already exist.
Well, yeah, that's why I think it's like, right now we're in it. We don't see things the way that they really are, and that's why I feel everything's still new. Yeah. 20 years is not a long time to be going through everything. So I say in another 20 years from now, we're going to look with hindsight, look back and say, we weren't the best generation. We weren't doing things how we should for human interaction, simply. Like, we weren't being the human race that we should be with each other. Like, there's so many things that we're not seeing clearly, and we're not going to know that fully until we get out of it, or until we go long enough to the point where we can look back.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's almost come to a point now where it's like, we're so divided that it's come to a point where people almost don't want
peace.
They're comfortable being divided.
People
don't, you guys stay over there. Yeah, I'm staying over here.
They don't want to try to make amends and bring us back together.
I'll bring this up because I just can't. You know, no matter what side you stand on, I think this is just crazy. You know, there's what's it called? It's called, I know, TAP is it's like the Trump something program where they're tracking down Trump supporters so that they can basically blacklist them for companies and stuff. And like anything like that is, I see this thing going full circle where, you know that history repeats itself. You know that history is a continuous cycle, and the fault with society is that we are not smart enough to recognize when the next thing is happening. And I think that that there's going to be this big shift of, or we're at the tipping point where it's either going to go one way, where we accept the segregation, we accept the differences that people have and just stay separate, or it's going to go in the way where we can be peaceful and agree to disagree, or at least be able to come together more than we are now.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely tough to guess what's going to happen in the future. But obviously, I think everybody wants peace. And it's just going to be the way that we get there that's going to decide what, where we end up.
Yeah. And as you describe that top thing, it's like, just because one person has beliefs in one thing, it doesn't make them a wrong person. It doesn't make them blacklistable. It doesn't make them in the place where they're wrong. And when you say that, the first thing that comes to mind was the whole Communist Act in the whole movie industry in the 90s and 80s when we were having the Cold War.
You ever see the movie Trumbo? Dalton Trumbo?
I don't think so.
It's about that. It's so
I might have
cool,
watched it in my film class in high school, but it's like they were going through all of the movie media, everyone in movies, all the actors, all the producers, all the directors, and they put them in front of a judge, and they'd prove that they support communists, or they prove that they'd have some sort of a communist tie, and not saying communism obviously is like...
It was just very un-American at the time.
Yeah, so looking back, we're like, wow, that was kind of
fucked
brutal.
up.
Why people's whole careers down the toilet because one person thought that they talked to a communist.
Yeah.
So it's looking back, people doing that, blacklisting someone just because they have a certain belief in one thing, it's discrimination. We don't need that.
It's not moral.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you think you want to add before we close this out?
Just, as what I was trying to say earlier is, moral-wise, going back in with how back in the old days when our parents were growing up, whatnot, whatever, there was always the dinner, I keep saying that, the dinner bell ringing, everyone was on the same page, same social standard, all that. And the morals were so similar with everybody there, the American way.
The universal moral standard.
Yeah. Exactly. So
different views, but same morals.
That's why I think that's one of the biggest things why we're so divided, is because it's just bound to happen. The more that time goes on, the more the world spins. People are going to start to obviously create differences, and you just think more.
People just start thinking differently.
It's like COVID. The more time we're sitting in by ourselves, you think more, you reflect more, you do all this, So, back then the moral standard was very similar with
widespread
of majority of Americans. And now as time goes on, people just
beliefs have
more people on the planet simply.
Beliefs have
changed.
Yeah. More cultures have assimilated and integrated in the United States, and there is now a more polarized and radical belief on each side of whatever spectrum that you're on.
Yeah.
And people just can't agree with those radical views, no matter if you're on one side or the other. You can't agree with the radical points of your opposing side.
Yeah.
It's definitely some good stuff here that we've been talking about. Any last thoughts?
I think we're good.
All right. So we gone through the first episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed. The next episode will be out on Thursday. Make sure you follow the Instagram at beyondthetable.podcast, while I will be uploading the next topics for our next episode. We hope that you guys enjoyed and maybe learned a thing or two, or disagree with us on a thing or two. And make sure you subscribe and smash that like button.
And also, if you guys have any things to add to our dialogue, let us know. DM us on Instagram. Put it in the comments of YouTube. Let us know your opinions. Let us know your thoughts, and we can get to those and kind of see what you guys think and reflect and incorporate you guys into our conversation.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to get maybe a comment list and go through some of the really good points that people make.
Give us some input.
Yeah. And we'll be having guests on soon. That the guest list will come out in the next few weeks. But this has been the first episode of our show. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Kobe.
I'm Ignacio.
I'm Creed.
Thanks for watching Beyond the Table.